Long before the calls for change were heard on the streets, Aboriginal organisations were lobbying our nation's leaders. For 3 years, they've worked with the federal government to hatch a plan. It's almost ready to be unveiled, and it's needed more than ever. The Indigenous incarceration rate is now double what it was in 1991. So, can Australia's first ever Indigenous justice targets change that? Let's take a look at the federal government's draft plan. It aims to reduce Indigenous youth incarceration by 11 to 19%. That would mean between 100 to 180 fewer young people in jails across the country. Another goal, to reduce the incarceration of Indigenous adults by 5%, or about 645 people in real terms. And now, those targets look set to be made even bolder.
We've attempted to be as ambitious as possible. It's a matter of what the governments are prepared to accept that will be settled eventually by ministers on the 3rd of July.
So how do you do it? The Minister for Indigenous Australians says it's time to stop jailing people for unpaid fines. An Australian Law Reform Committee report found in 5 years at least 272 people were jailed for unpaid fines in Victoria alone. Meanwhile, in Western Australia, 1 in 3 women in jail were there for unpaid fines, and the majority of them were Aboriginal. Yamaji woman Ms Du is one of a number who died in police custody after being held there for unpaid fines. Amending the state legislation was recommended by the Royal Commission and a number of reports since.
If you wipe those out and had a different way of dealing with that would reduce substantially and with some immediacy.
While these targets will form part of a national plan, it will rely almost entirely on the willingness of state governments to implement them. They're the ones who run prisons, courts and police forces. So how else can you get states to help reduce that incarceration figure?
I think there's a lot of policy measures and program adjustments that can be made. We need to separate out the minor crimes from the more serious crimes and look at the sentencing regimes or the treatment of our people coming in contact with the criminal justice system in the first place.
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter!
It's not the first plan to fix this profound problem, but there's hope it's the first that doesn't fail.